Strip away the tabloids. Strip away the wickedest man in the world. Strip away the rumors, the scandals, the abbey, the expulsion. What you have left is a system, and the system is extraordinary. Aleister Crowley spent the first part of his life absorbing everything Western and Eastern mystical tradition had produced. Kabbalah, ceremonial magic, yoga, Buddhist meditation, the Hermetic tradition, the Golden Dawn curriculum. He was, by his early 30s, one of the most comprehensively trained occultists in history. Then he built something new, something that drew on all of it, but organized it differently. Something that had a specific goal, a specific endpoint, and a precise map for getting there. He called the organization that carried it the AA. The letters stand for Argenteum Astrum, the Silver Star. Tonight we go inside the machine. Section 1. Why he left the Golden Dawn. To understand what Crowley built, you have to understand what he left. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was the most significant Western magical organization of the late 19th century. Its membership included William Butler Yeats, Arthur Mayhew, Algernon Blackwood, and Crowley himself. Its curriculum was serious, its system was sophisticated, and its internal grade structure was genuinely well designed. It also collapsed. By 1900, the Golden Dawn was tearing itself apart. There were disputes about authority. Disputes about which leaders held genuine magical grade versus ceremonial grade. Disputes about whether the secret chiefs, the hidden masters the order claimed to receive its authority from, were real entities or a convenient fiction invented to give the leadership legitimacy. Crowley was caught in the middle of this. He was also, by most accounts, part of the problem. He was arrogant, difficult, and constitutionally unable to accept authority he did not believe was genuine. He left or was expelled, depending on who you ask. What he took with him was the Golden Dawn's entire curriculum, which he had memorized and internalized, along with a clear sense of what the system was missing. The Golden Dawn taught you things. It gave you knowledge, initiated you into grades, showed you the symbolic architecture of the Western magical tradition. It did not, Crowley believed, reliably produce the actual experience it was pointing toward. He was going to build something that did. Section 2. The structure. The Tree of Life is operating system. The AA is built on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, but not as a symbolic map you study, as an operational blueprint you climb. The Tree of Life has 10 spheres, called Sephorath, arranged in a specific pattern and connected by 22 paths. Each sphere represents a level of reality, a level of consciousness, a quality of experience. The system runs from Malkuth at the bottom, ordinary material reality, to Kether at the top, the undifferentiated unity that precedes all manifestation. Crowley assigned specific grades to specific positions on the tree. Each grade had specific required practices, specific required knowledge, and specific required experiences that had to be demonstrated before advancement. This is the key innovation that separated the AA from what came before it. In the Golden Dawn, grade advancement was substantially ceremonial. You could be initiated into a higher grade through ritual. In the AA, you could not. You advanced when you had the experience the grade required, not when you had performed the ritual. Not when your superior decided you were ready. When you had the experience, and you had to document it in a magical diary that your superior would review in enough detail to distinguish genuine attainment from self-deception. Crowley built a system specifically designed to be cheat-proof. Section 3. The grades and what they require. The outer grades of the AA correspond to the lower Sephiroth on the tree. The student begins before entering the system formally. They are given a reading list, a substantial reading list, covering the entire corpus of material a serious practitioner needs to understand before doing anything else. They have 3 months to demonstrate familiarity with it. A probationer, the first formal grade, has 1 year. 1 year to perform any practices they choose. document everything, and demonstrate that they have a serious and consistent relationship with magical work. A neophyte must demonstrate control of thought, not suppression of thought, control. The ability to hold a single thought in the mind for a specific duration without interruption. This sounds simple. It is not. The practice required to achieve it is called dharana, a formal meditation technique, and Crowley specified exact standards. The examination was his own diary record of the practice over an extended period. A zealoter must demonstrate control of the astral body. Specific practices involving what the system calls astral travel or rising on the planes. Each grade escalates. Each grade requires something harder and more interior. But all of the outer grades, everything up through the grade called adeptus exemptus, are preparation for a single event. Section 4. The Abyss. Between the lower 7 Sephiroth and the upper 3, there is a gap. The Kabbalists called it the Abyss. They placed within it a non-sephira, a false sphere called Doth, knowledge without wisdom, the void that separates human consciousness from the divine. In Crowley's system, crossing the abyss is the central event of the entire initiatory path. Everything before it is preparation. Everything after it is a different kind of existence. To cross the abyss, the practitioner must surrender the self completely, not metaphorically, not as a conceptual exercise. The ego, the constructed identity, the story you tell yourself about who you are, must be dissolved and offered up. Crowley described this as the offering of all that you are to the city of the pyramids, to become nothing. In the abyss lives Choronzon. Choronzon is the guardian of the abyss in Crowley's system. He described it as the principle of dispersion, the force that prevents crossing by fragmenting the consciousness of anyone who approaches without genuine attainment. Choronzon feeds on ego. If you approach the abyss with anything left to protect, Choronzon tears it apart and you descend confused, potentially damaged, certainly failed. Crowley performed a formal working involving Choronzon in 1909 in the Algerian desert with Victor Newberg. The records of that working, documented in Crowley's published diary, The Vision and the Voice, are among the strangest documents in Western occultism. Whether you interpret Choronzon as a literal entity, a psychological force, or a useful metaphor for what happens to the ego under extreme pressure, the operative description is the same. You cannot carry yourself across. You have to put yourself down and trust that what reassembles on the other side is something truer than what you started with. Section 5. What waits on the other side? Beyond the abyss are 3 grades that correspond to the 3 highest Sephiroth. Magister Templi, Master of the Temple. This grade corresponds to Bina, understanding. The practitioner has crossed the abyss and achieved what the system calls the vision of sorrow, a direct perception of the nature of existence that most traditions describe as the recognition that suffering is fundamental to conditioned existence. This is not despair. It is clarity. Magus corresponds to Chokma wisdom. The Magus speaks a word, a single magical formula that encapsulates an entire eon spiritual current. Crowley identified himself as a Magus, and he identified his word as thelema. Ipsissimus, most himself, corresponds to Kether, the crown. Crowley wrote very little about this grade, beyond saying that it is beyond description, and that anyone claiming it publicly is almost certainly lying. The entire system, from student to ipsissimus, is designed to move a human consciousness from ordinary ego-bound perception to something the system calls knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel, and then beyond, across the abyss, into a mode of existence that tradition has always struggled to name. Section 6. Why serious practitioners still respect it. The AA system has been in continuous operation since 1907. It currently has multiple lineages operating independently because the organizational structure was deliberately designed to survive exactly the kind of collapse that destroyed the Golden Dawn. Each superior has only one direct relationship, with the student below and the superior above. No one in the system knows its full membership. This was intentional. Crowley had watched the Golden Dawn collapse partly because its members all knew each other and could therefore all fight with each other. The system is respected by practitioners from traditions that disagree with Crowley about almost everything else for a specific reason. It is specific. The grade requirements are documented. The practices are documented. The expected experiences are documented. The standards for evaluating whether the experience is genuine or self-deception are documented. Most magical systems say, here are the practices. Here are the experiences you might have. Here is the general direction. Crowley's system says, here is the exact practice. Here is the exact standard. Here is how you document it. Here is how it is evaluated. And here is precisely what it means if you pass. That degree of specificity is unusual in Western occultism. It is more common in the formal Tibetan Buddhist and Hindu yogic traditions than in the Western ceremonial tradition. Crowley had studied those traditions. He applied their rigor to Western magic. What he produced is a machine, a strange, demanding, occasionally dangerous machine built by a man with serious personal flaws and genuine intellectual brilliance. It is still running,